'Cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. A little stronger now. A little stronger now. A little stronger now. A little stronger now.
There are only a few seconds to close this round. A headshot, nice. Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna hear your go, go, go. Make them feel your smashing blow. Swing around. Rise the flame. Hold the ground.
Very much. They play, you win.
It is time for our next matchup. Virtus.pro and Marlian coming in hot and ready to see who can move along into the playoffs or who is headed down and out of the Epic League CSGO, CIS RMR. And boy, are we ready for this one, myself alongside Travis. Virtus.pro, they should win this pretty much no matter what, but Marlian, what can they bring to bear?
I mean, yeah, it's basically, I'm going to be straight with everyone watching right now, straight away. No hesitation. VP, if they lose this one, it's an utter disaster. If they can't make their way through to the playoffs of this event, one where they probably would have expected to go through at least 3-1 or even 3-0, knowing the talent they've got on their team, then they'll be very, very disappointed. So if they can squeak through 3-2, they can reset for the playoffs, of course. But yeah, this is one they should be taking all day long. There's a sneaky chance, that maybe Marlian can do something about it. There might be an unknown factor to VP, but I'm sure VP would have done their homework for such an important game.
I hope so. I mean, they've had a day to prepare for it as well. But I don't think it necessarily is going to matter that much, but I do know that map picks probably matter a lot for Marlian, if anyone. By the way, this is X Marlian, but we're just going to keep calling them Marlian for today on the broadcast since that just happened. And we are right into these map picks. It's going to be the ban on Nuke. This is unsurprising to absolutely no one. Permaban that's the permaban for VP, and then Inferno. The biggest problem for Marlian here is that they have a classic ESEA map pool, is what I called it the other day, and I think I stand by that. They play 3 maps and that's it.
Yeah, I mean that's completely not a wrong thing to say. I completely agree with you on that one. It's a weird one for Marlian. I mean, we look at these maps right now, and we do get a Mirage pick at least, which I think is probably their best shot, I would say, to try and take a map off VP, because if Marlian will have watched the other day, VP lost 16-4 to Forza on Mirage. So, VP are fallible on that map. That they've got places to be exploited. But the reality really is that any more than that, I feel like if we do go to a map 3, which looks like it will be Overpass as we see in front of us right now, I don't see really what Marlian can have to offer on that map. Just everyone on VP, they're so well known in the CIS region, and Mirage could be interesting, but other than that, I get the impression this could be a fast 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is if we were to get to an Overpass, not only did Marlian not play it, but the 2 times they did play it, they lost. And it's a good map for VP. So I don't think there's a lot more to say with regard to that pick ban. It really quite simply is Virtus.pro in the driver's seat. Virtus.pro looking to take this one in quick fashion. Honestly, for me, I mean, maybe this is putting putting things out there a little bit too forward, but I think for me, I really am just looking how good does Virtus.pro look against
Yeah.
this team? Because the reality is that this team is an open team right now. Like I mean they're playing in open right now in EU, which like, and not to be disrespectful to any of the players, by the way. I have to imagine that they're solid, and they're probably like X-Man, X-Advanced players, but they're having to qualify up. So regardless of the reasoning, though, it's just typically not going to be an ideal scenario for you, if you're having to kind of play all the way up if you're not able to find a way in, and that's what Marlian have been doing this season in ESEA. And so for me, that just kind of goes to show where they're at as a team. And in addition, like I said, I'm looking for Virtus.pro. If they come out and they're looking shaky, then I start to have to ask questions about what the rest of this RMR is going to look like for them in the playoffs. But if they come out, they really start smacking people around after their loss to Forza 2-1 that we saw on Wednesday, then maybe things can be a bit better for them.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that VP's loss to Forza was a little bit of a surprise, but Forza had been on a pretty decent run of form as of late, so it wasn't too big a shock. But yeah, as you say, VP didn't really show much. I feel like, especially on Mirage, which we will see for sure in the series, as we mentioned. So if they can get through this one in 2-0 fashion, in comfortable 2-0 fashion, it at least gives them a bit of confidence, because if they struggle against this team, that everyone's going to feel a bit down. It's like, oh, this should have been easy. Like, what's going on here? Like, we've been in a major final. These guys are most advanced players, like we should be stomping them. And that sort of mindset can get, in your head of VP and be like, what are we doing here, But yeah, it would be really important for them to win this one cleanly and easily and get their way through to the playoffs and start fresh.
Yeah, and I was just double checking, by the way, on these players, and indeed, yeah, almost all of them are ex-main players, but typically have only been in main for a season or so, and so for that reason, I think that you have to say there is probably going to be a bit of a diff here. Just being entirely honest about it. That said, this is a chance for a team like Marlian, who have not had a chance to play against these types of opponents. This is a great opportunity to just show their mettle. I mean, really, like props to them for being here, first of all, but beyond that, like just come out and do the very best you can and win a couple of rounds, maybe win a game or two. And I mean, like I said, having the chance to play against such good opponents is not something that everybody gets to do all that often. So take it and run with it, man.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I was about to say that if you're a main player or an advanced player and you're getting a chance in what is obviously classified as a Valve sponsored event, because this is the qualifier for the major, to play against a team like VP, who obviously as a Vanguard were ex-major finalists, what a huge opportunity for you. I mean, they've made their way to 2-2. They've got their chance in a 2-2 elimination match. All props to them. I think they've probably would be happy with the result of this tournament, even if they go on to lose. And there's no shame in losing to VP, even if they're slightly off color at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that VP is, I think at best, this roster is definitely a contender on the world stage, and because if you like you said, go out to a team like that, there's absolutely no problems there whatsoever. And just FYI, we are just waiting to get into the game, so as soon as we do, we will head over that way. But in the interim times, let's talk for a second. By the way, this isn't the final game that we have today. We're going to have Gambit taking on Namiga later on today. And obviously we just got a chance to watch Trident and K23 face off in a 3-map bout, but it was ultimately K23 that just kind of took control there in the final map. Especially, it was a 16-2 smacking over on Train. So not something you see very often, in fairness. Train, I feel like, usually you can get a couple of rounds, but boy, was that not the case for Trident in that one. But no, nonetheless, we've got a lot more to watch. And despite the fact that, like we're saying, VP and Marlian looking to be a very one-sided affair on paper, I know that there is always chances for players to come out on top. And I know you were talking to me about you're thinking that there's a possibility that the Gambit game, that Nemiga can kind of pull up some interesting looks. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, really, that just all comes down to the fact that Gambit they've not been perfect as of late. I mean, obviously they are the #1 team on HLTV, but they haven't been absolutely impenetrable as they were for a little small period during this year. And Amiga have a lot of talented players on their roster, so that could one that obviously you still favour Gambit. There's no doubt about it, but one that just in basic terms, I feel like will be closer than this VP match. Just a personal feeling. And just as a side note as well for me and you, getting the chance to cast the #1 team in the world on HLTV is a pretty exciting one. So we're looking forward to that later. I remember when I was casting Gambit in DreamHack Open qualifiers when they still had I think Supra at the time. So that's pretty crazy how their rise was insane. It just is insane.
Yeah, I mean, well, they've kind of had that. They had that sustained push up, and then they had that major victory with Zeus, and then they disappeared into nothingness when Zeus moved back over into the Navi camp, and then beyond that, they've just they were kind of consistently thereabouts. It was really cool. Like you said, they kind of worked their way back into it, and now here in the online era, able to really take it to some of these teams. It's like you said, have had some weaknesses as of late. But here's the thing: the scary part about it, right, is when you're the #1 team, that's when all eyes are on you. Everybody's watching to see what you do, and that's a very different thing than you kind of being on the upcoming, on the up and up, trying to find your way, because then, I mean, all of your strategies are getting used against you. They know what to look for. They know how to counter strat and everything like that, because you are the benchmark. So, I mean, I know teams like, Astralis, who have been able to kind of sustain high level for a long time. They're probably very familiar with that feeling. And I think that's pretty interesting, because that is something that really differentiates a team that can hit #1 and that can sustain #1. And so Gambit is kind of in this middle ground where we don't know if they're going to be able to sustain, or whether or not they're going to just fall back down after hitting that position. Like, I think back to when Team Liquid hit that #1 in the world, but then the pressure got to them. They weren't able to sustain it, and they fell right back down.
Yeah, I mean, obviously winning that Intel Grand Slam was a huge part of Liquid's success, and that sort of kept them up there for quite a long time. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Gambit do later on. It's going to be an exciting one. But anyway, that's for later. Now is now, and now is Virtus.pro versus Marlian, but we'll continue to call them Marlian for this best of 3. And we're going to start on Dust 2. VP, must-win game for them. Obviously, it's a must-win game for Marlian as well, but you have to say, if VP can't win this one, they're in big trouble indeed. Already a flash toward long to get Kicker some information, and the utility is on Sanji and Kicker himself. 2 smokes, a flash, and a molly.
Yeah, and I mean, you talked about kind of players being good on XYZ map. Well, James, very much the player to watch here. Really solid on Dust 2. The AWP obviously can get very, very big value plays, but we're seeing the push here over towards B. Some counter utility goes out. That's the flash. Native is ready. People are blind. Nice. 2 players go down. Yakindar's the only one to find anything, and it's Rankle and Krivda both to get kills, making this look quite simple. As Marlian taking the first of this game. As well, I listen, if the Paramatch odds have been telling us anything, it's been that they know what's going on, because every single time the odds have been working towards the eventual victor. And well, Marlian, they've got an uphill battle.
Yeah, I mean, that just really just tells the tale, isn't it, of what they're up against. But an excellent start for them. A very nice setup toward B, defending against that play from VP. VP only managing 1 frag on toward Jekindar. And they're not going to go for a force play either, our VP. They're just taking their time. They're realizing that, there's no need to rush things. There's no need to rush things against a team like this. Just take your time. I'm excited to see whether Marlian have anything exciting that maybe we haven't seen before. But at the moment, it's going to be a little bit of a save for a VP. Just take it, as I said, taking the time. James on a scout, but other than that, just a few pistols.
Yeah, 2 Deagles to kind of hopefully take advantage of any tags that James gets, but as of yet, it's been very slow, very methodical from the VP side of things. Some information gained off the back of some audio cues over in V tunnels. Keep 2 players in that direction, and a bit of a tag there onto Hikta. Allows for Yakindar some space, but not much more.
Yeah, apologies if Hukta is not the best pronunciation. When when there are no vowels in a name except for one that at the very end, it can be a little bit tough sometimes. So if that one is a bit butchered from either one of us, then we do apologize. We're most definitely not Ukrainian ourselves, so we are not aware of the perfect pronunciations. But no matter, VP are now advancing towards short. Wrinkle will get the first. Mad Org, best place for the Org in this position. Tapping away, only gets 1 though. Jame on that scout now, can afford to activate. Owner tapping away with the FAMAS, doing decent amounts of damage, but no headshots yet. And finally he'll hit 2. Deals with Sanji and Buster, and Native will get the last as well. Jame dropping as the final player. And they will secure that 2-0 start, which they so desperately wanted. VP now can go for this buy. Jame will be left on the scout again. So he buys a scout for the second round and for the third round. And they're about looking to now get started with the rifles.
Yeah, I mean, that's just very much the consequence of purchasing in that scout. James knew what was going on, knew what the plan was before. And, well, I guess it's not really a consequence if you just open the game up with a frag, a headshot onto Native and make it look quite simple. Kicker the same. It's 1-for-1, though, as Wrinkle trades. He's stuck on the site, but lines him up and knocks him down. 2-for-1 deal. It's Sanji's left alone. Hikta going to be coming around the back, but it's going to be Sanji who has to find 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, and really, they just didn't expect a second player to be so quick towards short there. Wrinkle with an excellent 3K at that angle, and they couldn't trade him out. And now Sanji's left in a 1-2. He's seen how many times he can clutch, though. Molly for the side, but he can't hit the immediate shot. Instead, it's Hukta to get that lovely immediate dink with the Galil. Can switch off to the AK, and VP are struggling a little bit early on here. And I mean, we mentioned how easy this was supposedly supposed to be for VP. The first 2 maps in this series are Dust 2 and Mirage. I mean, it's hard to really. Obviously, you expect them to win, as we said, but these are 2 maps where if you can get a run started, if you are ex-Marlian, get some rounds started, get some economy built up. Really, it's a very streaky map, and anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, I would honestly just pull that out to Counter-Strike. You can really start to get things rolling if you are careful about it. Looks like this push over towards B going to be the case. That nade does massive damage. Well done. The frag goes the way of Native. Pushes out, but it's Hikta and Krivda who both find kills. Owner gets involved, and Hikta with a second. Makes it look quite simple. And like you were saying, ex-Marlian, they're doing very well here on the defensive side. Just kind of taking what they're given and not getting too aggressive.
Yeah, and I mean, also the fact that the fact they won with 5 players alive there, it just does wonders for their economy as we get started in this game. And the fact that VP, small things like retaking, small things like utility usage for these sort of situations now where they take long. It's things that VP will probably be a lot more experienced and just well versed in, whereas ex-Marlian may not have like as advanced sort of setups or advanced sort of plays as the VP have. But at the moment they're proving that the basics work. 4-0 start. VP finally with Jame on the AWP looking to hit back.
Looking to do just that. AWP in the hands of Jame, exactly where you would like that to be. The Wrinkle on the other side has one of his own. That, though, is hooked up here towards the B tunnel area. Going to be watching down, and, well, he might have some players to take shots at as there's 4 players grouping up here for Virtus.pro in the tunnel. It's all about the execution, though. The first swing is really a dry swing, and the second frag is brilliant. James repeats, and it's a bit late maybe, but Yakindar takes down Hicta as well. Native stuck on the site, might be able to find one. They aren't quite sure, but okay, yes they are. Gickard is so sure, knows exactly where Native's playing, and this is a great round for Virtus.pro. They finally cracked open this B site after a couple of attempts.
Yeah, and this is now a situation where retaking 2-on-3 on the B site is a nightmare as it is, but if James can only hit a tag, it makes it ever so slightly possible. It's a stack toward the corner of the site for VP. Kicker and Yekindar playing next to each other. It's going to be a free frag onto Ona no matter. They're raking for Crypto to exit in, and there we go. That's the key frag for Yekindar. Now I think Ona realizes there's nothing really to do in this scenario, that he's going to wait for the exits. He might go down to the bomb in this situation, but never mind, he'll go down to Kicker as he peeks wide. And yeah, you mentioned that position toward Car there. Yekindar came in through the window toward middle, was just trained on that spot, did not look away from it at any moment. You could see it in the top right-hand corner of your screen on the X-ray, just absolutely trained on the position. No way he was letting him get more than one. Calls it over to Kicker to make sure to check the angle properly and seal the first round for VP. He does, he hits the headshot, and VP are off the mark.
Indeed. As James looking for something down middle and able to connect. It's Wrinkle who has an AWP at long. 2 players to shoot at, but neither of them are going to get hit. As Virtus.pro going to be able to gain that long control position that is so important here on Dust 2. It's sort of been an interesting strategy thus far, but right now, I mean, look at how open that long position is. The potential for that A split very much there, as both of these players, the CTs, quite split up. Hicta one on Cat, whilst it's a Wrinkle on the site with that AWP.
Yeah, and this is a situation now where FX Marlian need to, stabilize and not get too overwhelmed. They need the frags, but okay, Yekindar doing what he does best. Incredible entry, giving Hector no chance whatsoever. That forces Wrinkle into a play toward long to at least try and clear out that position, so he's not exposed too short. Sanji just playing with the angle right now, being a nuisance. I think he is aware that him being there is a possibility. Ona will throw this flash in to try and make something happen, but there we go. There's the key frag. Sanji takes down that AWP. They realise that that Goose, is in the wrong position, and now only Native was left, and he can only go 1-for-1. Leaves Krivda looking for a flank toward middle, but it's going to be the A site taken for VP.
Yeah, I mean, if you've watched any of VP on this map, you know that Buster is going to be waiting up in top middle. And if it's not Buster, it's Hindar, but it's never ideal, we'll put it that way, as Kicker comes in for help. Could be a dead Krivda, and that's a nice flash.
Even had a flash for that. Yeah, so see, that's the sort of, very, very small details which I was mentioning earlier. That's the sort of thing that maybe Marlian wouldn't be doing. They wouldn't, if they were in that situation, maybe they wouldn't be flashing for that angle to be absolutely sure to clear out close middle. Whereas VP just have everything, those sort of small things down. I'm not saying, Marlian wouldn't think of it, but it's just those tiny little factors which, are the difference between, being a decent advanced player and being a step up, which is VP.
Yeah, exactly. Big differences in the small things. That's what we're hearing, and I couldn't agree with you more. As X Marlian, they do have this lead for the time being, but onto the pistols, that lead is evaporating quickly, as it is the 2 Deagles plus a couple of, I say couple, it's 3 USPSs, but again, this is kind of, I mean, we saw this on Wednesday when you and I casted Virtus.pro. I mean, this is their style. Slow and methodical. Take control of areas of the map and then execute off the back of them. And here we're seeing it once more. They know that it's going to be an eco. At least they have that idea, possibility. And they don't want to give anything away for free.
Yeah, this is just methodical stuff. Even the molly there to clear out Goose perfectly. And yeah, I mean, VP, I mentioned that, they might not be entirely aware of what Marlian have to throw at them, which could mean that, Marlian have a decent map or two. But, you're sort of in that situation where VP realize they can just concentrate on their own game. And that's the thing that you have to do. You can't just, solely anti-strat what you see from, a team like this. If you just concentrate on your own stuff, it will be good enough. And obviously, they're still around behind. as Marlian will have a bye in this upcoming round. So if they can get 5, 6, maybe even 7 rounds out of this CT half, can Marlian, then that gives them a chance on T. I feel like
a chance, yes. And especially with that 4-0 start, like that's nice. It definitely gives you some breathing room, so to speak. But how much breathing room is the question. I feel like these last 3 rounds in a row have really showed us the true, Virtus.pro and what they have to show for us. Not that we were really expecting anything further, but look at that. 4 rounds and cut in half are those para match odds, by the way, for the ex Marlian side. So if you got in early on those odds, you're feeling good. Definitely are. But either way, no matter how you slice it, I still think that this is a VP map all the way.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously those odds are going to change. Even if Marlian just win the first couple of rounds, it makes it interesting, doesn't it? James looking now for a solo entry toward middle. I think Marlian will realise that he likes to do that, and Native knows exactly what's going on. I think he even had a bit of a benefit there of the shadow, but still James bests him. And now Krivda has to defend toward B. Jump spotting nicely to try and defend his position, but he's going to be up close and personal with Yakindar, and yeah. There's not really much you could do about that. VP showing their skill already early on. 2 entries on toward B, no chance for Marlian, and they're going to have to save the 2 rifles.
I mean, Yakindar
in inverted commas.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, that's not going to be a save when you get hunted by Buster. Yeah, very hard.
No, very difficult. And Kicker the same. I mean, Yakindar and Buster both just tapping heads over there at B. I mean, Yakindar, we saw that one on there, and Buster taking 1 shot and they're dead through the doors. Certainly is nice. And Virtus.pro, once again, they have solidified their position, tied this game right up very, very fast. It is, of course, Virtus.pro's map pick, but again, we are very much expecting this sort of domination that we just saw. Back to the pistols, Deagles, in fact, 4 of them for Marlian, as they're looking for something. I don't know that they're going to be able to find it, though.
Yeah, it's a tough situation to be in again. I just resorted to a couple of flashes with these pistols. Buster creeping a little bit closer. It does take a dink through the wall there, and it's not often you see that. Deagle besting Buster on that angle. That's just very awkward for Buster, really, in the end. Not much you can do about that. It does recover an AK, though, and that means Yakindar will fall all the way back to play a little bit more safe. They realise it's an AK for Marlian. Flash coming in, but Kicker, it was ahead of him. And that's 2 lovely headshots from him, advancing his score to 9-4. Smoke's coming in now for the cross to make absolutely sure they don't get punished any further. The AK of Native will fire off some bullets, but only Wrinkle will have to defend now. He's coming into the box. Will he be spotted? He will, but actually will get the first headshot. But Yakindar, there we go, just sorts it out in the end. And now the question is whether Native wants to go in for some damage or looks to save.
Save is what we're looking at potentially. At least for Krivda, and yeah, Native the same. This is understandable. I think that's the right decision. Don't want to give it too much of anything away, and I mean, you get a couple kills, you recover an AK. I call that a success in a round like this, where your economy is pretty busted. You bought in a couple Deagles, relatively no armor, and you're able to find a couple of kills and get away with a rifle. Absolutely brilliant. Marlian going to be loving that. That said, Virtus.pro very much okay to take what they've got and continue rolling with it. They've somehow, in 5 rounds, really built this economy up to be incredibly strong. 14K before the purchase on Buster, above 12K on Kicker before even getting a purchase on, or rather after buying. And I mean, that's exactly what you want to see if you're Virtus.pro. Just build the economy, make sure that it's going to be difficult to break, and well, it's crazy how fast the tides do turn.
And that's what I sort of expected, really, from VP. Even at the point where Marlian were, 4-0 up and they were looking to do the best of their ability. But he's coming in towards short here. It's quite often we see this. James does this himself, so Kicker will be aware of the possibility. But never mind. Wrinkle hits the shot either way. Owner with a chance to duel toward long. Flash coming in. There we go. Perfect. 1-for-1 with James. And it gives Marlian a man advantage to work with. But yeah, James will hit straight back as Wrinkle goes in for another peek. I don't blame him. They want to try and make something happen, you know, play aggressive, try and catch VP off, things that might not be expected from them. And they're already working their way back to B tunnels. But yeah, I agree with your point. It's as soon as VP got a few rounds in a row, the money would be built up so quickly.
I really would have loved to see a flash there for Wrinkle. I understand that the way James played it, it probably wouldn't have mattered, but still, the principle still stands where a flash for Wrinkle and that extra wide swing would have been ideal, I think. But neither here nor there.
This is good, though.
Utility. True.
For this.
Utility prepped here. They could find this. The timing needs to be good, though.
There it is. Native with 2, hiding in the corner. Will finally get traded by James, but because James took one of his own as well in the meantime, it means he's on for the ace. Just Hector left, but he's coming in on the flank now toward tunnels, and he's coming in very quickly. James realizes it at the last second. Does Hector push through it? He does, and James looks the wrong way. How about that? James with great work on for the ace there, but Hector realizes that you can't just bide your time in that situation, hiding behind that molly. That's pointless. You have to catch him off guard. Pushes straight through it. Good guess by James, or at least molly off the flank as he cleared out the doors. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's Hector to win it out, and he'll be very happy with that one that he'll remember for a while. Winning a clutch against James in a Valve event, and it equalizes the score at 5-all.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in fairness, though, like, that's such a hard find by James. Oh, fast. Very quick aggression here. Sanji getting out unlong, and it's Kicker who finds the kill. The owner falls, and Hicta's still available in the pit. Gets mollied out, but he's got a forward position now. Could do some big damage.
Nice.
Kicker falls to Hicta, and now could find Sanji as well. But the spray, the quick switch, wrong timing. Hicta got caught out, and Sanji finds the trade. So it's one player advantage for Virtus.pro after this engagement here towards long.
And Native is going back in, looking for some of that re-aggression, but at the end of the day, the FAMAS is always going to be a bit of a problem. Sometimes I can speak, you know, I do talk for a living.
Troublesome.
Yeah, thank you. And Sanji does get away with the headshot anyway. And it does make it a 4 versus 2. Wrinkle's being mollied out toward Car as well. It's just a whole bit of trouble for Wrinkle to deal with. The molly will at least, I mean, I think his position was kind of covered there. I don't think James realizes that he's still toward Car, as sort of covered his position on the angle. Crib has taken Kicker in the meantime as well, and there we go, 2 versus 2. If we can get another one, he can. James advances past to try and get the trade, and suddenly out of nowhere, it's all down to Buster. He's coming toward long, making lots of noise as well. Crib has a nice angle, instant headshot, and out of nowhere, a 2 versus 4 goes in X Marlian's favor. How about that, Vincent?
I mean, well done is what it is, and I mean, an immediate Virtus.pro timeout off the back of that, right? Like they're wondering how it happened as well. They don't want to give anything away here, and I mean, this has been a relatively close game, despite some of the dominant rounds that VP have taken. I mean, it's X Marlian still up, yeah, 6-5, but you know, that's something. Now, the purchase is not ideal here for Marlian. They definitely would have liked to have something a little bit better. Owner has enough to pull out the M4, but it's going to be at the cost of head armor. Not that it is going to matter a whole lot considering the AKs and AWP for Virtus.pro, but regardless, as I say that, though, actually, Owner electing to go for the head armor and not get a smoke grenade. So, interesting decision, but I can see why he would want to be sure. That said, probably should be more aware of the fact that VP's money is absolutely fine.
Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. Second taking absolutely no prisoners there on their entry toward B. The AWP was there, trying to reposition and make it a possibility, but at least Second can only get 1. Here's a 4 versus 4. Kicker though is looking for this short aggression from Hook2 and Owner. Look at this. Pixel differences, small margins, absolute fractions right now. Looking for it. Buster taps down Owner, but are they aware of a second one? They're not, but Hook2 isn't aware of Kicker either. So they recover that situation and get the man advantage. 3 versus 2. Native has that AWP available, picked up, but they are working their way toward A now and toward short. James has the angled DWP, and they can smoke off both these positions to sort out this aggression toward the site. Yeah, nicely done by James just to throw that smoke down
forcing Krivda out of this position, or I should say more accurately, just denying any vision from Krivda in this position. So, and look at this. I mean, it's the save. The save call is already here for Marlian. They aren't really able to invest further, and I mean, you can't blame them considering the money that they're on. Yeah, Krivda has a bit of cash, but Owner and Wrinkle are both at $0, and Hikta at 1,500. Native similarly at 600 is just not going to be nearly enough to really warrant a push or an attempt at that retake, especially not against James Op. I mean, that's a terrifying thing to retake against on Dust 2, I would say.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. But, 6-all for ex-Marlian. I mean, if you look at that, if you ask them before the game, okay, you're up against VP, it's heavily favoured against you. Would you take a 6-all start on the CT side of Dust 2? I think they would have bitten your hand off for that one, to go to that old cliche. So they're in the game. They're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. VP have obviously built up their economy with the rounds they won in a row, but as we said, Winkle still has that AWP. James out toward long, no hesitation, all the way toward blue box already, without even worrying about there being someone on the angle. They had the best spawn for it, I guess. And now they're looking to retake it with a couple of flashes. Are ex-Marlian.
Indeed. Flashes out. Spotted. Yukindar. Sprays. Good for one, but not a second. And, well, Owner gets tagged heavily in the process. Sanji follows that up. AWP
nice.
is ready. Wrinkle. Nicely done. Molly misses its mark as well. The flash is not so much, and he gets spammed down through the edge of that car. Nice little jitter peek there from Kickert. And Jane follows it up. Blind indeed. As it's Krivda, the sole survivor, just continue pushing the same angle. Or Marlian, until it works, I guess. I don't know. It just seems a bit questionable to me. Now no flash available. Is he just going to try swing? Yeah, he does. What were Marlian doing in that one?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, Wrinkle got his first frag with the AWP, and it was like, okay, I can set myself up for more here. It worked last time in that 2 versus 4. But in the end, they just didn't really have. He didn't have anyone in support, and that final player in the end, Krivda as well. I mean, that's just such a tough situation. Like, you flash yourself in toward long there. There's a player on the corner, but he's just shoulder peeking it, not giving himself up, and that is just VP all over. Not giving anything really away for free. And if he didn't manage to get one frag back there, he probably would have fallen back. Maybe had a chance at a 1 versus 2 if he positions himself in an unexpected place. But end of the day, too hard and. Too fast from VP, and it forces ex-Marlian down to Deagles now. Kevlar on 3 of them, and a bit of utility on Krivda as well. And they've taken short in its entirety and are creeping their way up toward the top of middle.
Yeah, Kickert finding nobody at long is telling, though. It's going to give the information over to VP. VP know what's going on, and there's a player, that's Buster, who's ready and waiting for this flank to come in. Spots the shoulder of the first player, and oh my goodness, what a dink. Takes Buster down very, very low. And Buster's like, give me some help. James comes in for that and Hikta falls. So it's looking a bit better, but Wrinkle is still in this position. Has some backup in addition to that. So it's not too shabby.
Yeah, little does he know that he could probably just go for that free play right now. But now Kicker is here. Buster, look at this crossfire. This is horrible. I think they realise he's close blue box, though. Does Kicker check it?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Okay, he gets the frag anyway. We take those. Absolutely hard cleared, but he still gets a bit of money with his Deagle purchase. Buster is alone in the corner, but they're not going to go in for any more of this. They're just going to keep themselves alive, keep the Kevlar. They get a little push at the end, and I don't blame them, really. They could buy in the next anyway. Trying to at least hit a nice, tasty shot, but it does mean in the end that VP do go up to 8 and will be looking to take that into 9. And of course, last round of the half, plenty of economy available. Here come the auto snipers. This is the worst thing about Dust 2, in my opinion. When you have so much money available, just shoot through the doors. Here we go. Are there going to be any tags? Are there going to be any kills? Not talk about tags and kills. Oh, Kicker and James team up for what can you even say? I don't know.
I love it. I love it so much. I remember when Fnatic first did that. It was so, like, everybody was like, dude, these guys are actually insane. Their brains are enormous. And now it's just kind of the meta. I don't know who came up with that initially, whether it was like, it sounds like a Flusher thing, I'll be honest. Like, that totally sounds like something Flusher would have come up with. Nice find by Wrinkle. That's nice. Fortunately, the flash is, well, leaves a bit to be desired, but either way, maybe winnable if he finds another.
That angle on the AWP is basically impossible to to clear out, but he at least manages it. But yeah, last round of the half, no defuse kit. They're going to have to throw themselves into the mixer here after getting thoroughly abused by those T-side auto snipers. Wrinkle looking for the peak, can't get the first. Now it's all down to Hertz. Gets himself one. Now it's all down to stat padding. He's going to end the half. Even frags anyway, and there we go. 9 each for him. And a decent half, you could say, for the severe underdogs in Marlian. At least they're only 3 behind. If they can get themselves a pistol, then who knows? But VP will take the 9-6 lead with the help of those naughty T-side auto snipers.
Yeah. I mean, and the 9-6 half is honestly pretty solid considering that 4-0 deficit that they started with. And in addition to that, I think everybody probably pretty happy with the performance here in half number 1. Like you were saying, if you spoke to Marlian earlier and was like, hey, so you guys are going to be going 9-6 against Virtus.pro on Dust 2, they'd be like, oh, we are? Cool. But equally, I think 9-6 very much what you're looking for on a relatively T-sided map here on Dust 2.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the only reason we say it's a T-sided map is because it's just so hard to retake in general. Like, if you can trade your way onto a site and get a 3v3 after plant, like, there are so many times you just see CT saved, no matter how much utility they have, really. And really, at the end of the day, it does come down to the utility, whether you decide to retake or not. But it depends. It depends team to team, like... some special setups you can have on CT, which can really catch off Marlian. And there we go. You can see the power match odds right now looking very one-sided as you'd still expect. But Marlian's still only 3 rounds behind. You never know. It's still not too bad. If they were, as I said earlier, if they were asked, okay, what you can have a 9-6 half to kick yourself off against VP, I think they'd take it really.
I mean, those odds, I'd say back to normal, in fairness, after
yes.
the weird swing there with the 4-0 lead. So pretty much to be expected. Oh, my goodness, Wrinkle. What a shot. Nice. That was disgusting. Yakindar's left wondering what hit him, and the plant goes down here for Cat. Nicely done, Marlian. They've got the bomb down.
Yeah, and they don't, at the moment, they don't have a kit picked up to VP for the retake. That's a lovely shot from James, though, dealing with that top mid lurk. Now it's really all down to this short play of Owner and a teammate with him. Good flash. That could be the counter. They're going to have to rush in for this one because they do not have that defuse kit picked up. Buster gets himself 2. Good trades. Kicker still has the smoke available. P250s are the final 2 remaining players now with that Kevlar boost up. That can be hard a bit close range, but no matter. Very nicely done from Wrinkle and Krivda. Exactly what those PT50s are meant to do. And they do win their T pistol. It'll be interesting to see now what VP did. They took their time on the T side when they lost the pistol round and bided their time for a later round. And it looks like they're going to do the same again. At the moment, only a grenade purchased up for Buster. And I guess we should now make sure we bring up that Marlian have actually won both the pistols.
Very true. I mean, that's a good point to note at the very least, but we'll have to see if that's enough to bring them over the edge. I mean, you do typically talk about if you're able to pick up both the pistols, you certainly do give yourself a pretty solid advantage in a series, or at least in a map. But well, I don't know that it's going to work that way this time. All 5 players here for Virtus.pro are lined up at A, and they've all got USPSs, so the long range is doing some favors for them. But against AKs, I mean, that's debatable at best whether or not it's a positive thing. And the B site has been found out by Marlian to be open for business. Yeah. So they're going to go there and plant that bomb.
Important to scout that out. If you walk into a USP stack, it can always be dangerous. Often I've seen the USP stack sort of sitting toward Goose, toward the back of the site, so have a big stack fighting away toward Long, and that can always be a big problem to deal with. There are multiple players in that position. Kicker will go down alongside Sanji now, as Yekindar manages to at least get one. Vigil eating up those 2 players, and now it's only Buster remaining. So at least they managed to get 1 out of basically no investment. Yekindar with that one. Obviously, every kill counts. Gets him a couple of bit of money, and that is okay. That I know it's a USP, right? He's in pit all on his own. It's poor old Buster, but that is an absolutely disgusting shot. Just running from Goose there onto the A site, just one-tapping that player in pit. That's such a hard shot to hit, but absolutely no hesitation on that one. Straight in there. And yeah, it does seal Marlian's round. They're only now one behind. And now James can finally get the AWP out on the CT side. It is a glass cannon, however.
Though, I mean, we've seen what James could do even with the lack of armor. It's not, or I should say it's quite significant. But in addition, there is 3 gold eels still on the board. Those are obviously very viable. James, it's a good angle, I think, with the lack of armor. I think this really is quite solid because you can relatively easily get this kill and fall back. And unfortunately, it's not a kill; it's a tag onto owner, and the information gained as well.
Okay.
To get a forward position, and that's a bit over aggressive. Hictor finds that kill, and now the information's gained that they could go towards B, and no one's even there at B. So Virtus.pro, I mean, they save again.
I mean, well, I don't want to bring it up so early, but you know what time it is. It is that very time that I'm not even going to say out loud because it's too obvious. Marlian with a very nice clear out again. It's just a 1 frag, really. Kicker dropping off the position he had in CT there, just giving up that frag to Hictor. Of course, he had no way of knowing that he was up close, but he also had no way of knowing it was 100% clear. And although Yekindar will at least take down one of these hunting players, it will definitely be a save, and it will mean Marlian will reach an equal game again at 9-all. And yeah, they should be very happy with their start on T side. They're sort of feels like they're exposing some of the little gaps in the VP defense right now, because you know if it's 1 frag that's enough to win a round, you realise you've got through the tough spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations, right, where Virtus.pro, they should be very much, you know, with this one. But right now, the second half so far, I mean, it's only been a couple of rounds. I mean, 3 rounds is it. So I don't want to overreact, but it's not been great for Virtus.pro. Now they do have weapons yet again. AWP for James, armor this side. So certainly it could be different, especially since there's players at B.
Yeah, for sure. And because of that loss from Kicker, obviously, it means he's down to a UMP on this full buy for VP. When I say full buy, it was a 4-man save. And we've spoken about the UMP recently as well, saying it's, you know, it's not necessarily the SMG of choice these days, but here's a good start for the CT side here. Yekindar will take 1 with the M4, and Dandy just about gets away with his life, helped out by James there, as he just gets away with it up close. So it gives him a 5 versus 3. Bomb is still toward top of middle, so Marlian haven't really made any gambles or decisions on exactly where they want to go as of yet. But with 2 players in tunnels, they're at least going to be throwing in some of that utility.
Yeah, that utility forces some additional utility, and actually nicely placed utility, might I add, from Marlian. Really just shuts that down, or I should say for VP, my apologies. Really shuts down that push and the timings that they were looking for. And confirmation. Sanji onto Wrinkle over in mid, forces Marlian back, and you got to run away. I guess this is just the attempt at a save.
Yeah.
2v5. I mean, yeah, it makes sense.
It's a hard one. Like in this sort of situation, VP, they've saved with 4 players, and now they're going to win a round with 5 players alive. So it's one of those situations where if you're Marlian, you really want to at least do some damage to the VP economy. But with the way Marlian's economy is sat, with Krivda on 5.4, he can obviously drop over a gun, and then they can have another shot at this, because Own will be able to buy as well. So they have at least 3 AKs, maybe even an AWP if they decide to buy that up. But I know I have done, actually. So yeah, they're going to have that AWP and 3 AKs and a MAC-10. So the buy is pretty good. Wrinkle having a good game so far, 18-13. Actually top fragging in the server right now. So that's something that he will be very happy about indeed. But Kicker has dropped that UMP, doesn't want that anymore. and he'll commit to the M4 as he should.
Makes sense. All working together as it should. Aggression? Owner? Already out mid.
Ooh.
I don't think the VP know about it. I mean, well, they know now. The information has been gained off the back of the fact that smoke got thrown. Flashes from B are blinding players, but not enough to get kills. And it's Yakendar through the top of the smoke. It's able to find the first in middle. And it is traded by Hikta, who, as the smoke was fading, found the right decision. Buster on the site does well to close that down. As Kicker is still looking ready and waiting. Missed shot, that AWP, not enough. And there's one player alive.
Yeah, he's looking to do some damage here, but Buster's way too aware for that one. And yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, I feel like X-Money were almost a little bit shocked, really, that they got mid control so quickly and so easily, because obviously they had that one player up already so close. And in the end, because of that, it's like a, yeah, it's like a it was like a surprise, really, I guess you could say. That and because of that being a surprise, they were sort of a bit, you know, split up in the take. And when you go through the window and there's a player underneath the window, it's basically an impossible situation to clear out that as a T, unless you have that a special molly that you can line up for that spot. And it reduces Marlian to pistols, and looks like Yekindar is going to be in prime position to farm them down. Okay, I tell a lie. Don't listen to anything I ever say ever again.
Oh, it seems a bit over the top, but you know, Buster, nicely done. Nice little. I mean, late on, but you know, eventual equalizer. Finds Krivda. So, regardless of how you slice it, these deagles can be quite lethal at any range, and so it's imperative to be quite careful.
Nice.
I like that from Sanji. Yeah, Hikta's very low off the back of that.
This is textbook. Okay, I mean, he still gets taken down by the low HP of Hector, and funnily enough, the grenade was the deciding factor that brought him down to 13 from full HP. And they do get a bomb plant, so this is ever so slightly dangerous. Look where Native is. He's towards CT, playing around with these smokes. The gun will be dropped over to the healthier player in Wrinkle. And with Native's position, he could flank these players coming in from short. VP are committing to 3 in from short here. The HPs are not the best, but this is ever so slightly worrisome. The grenade is obviously going to clear up Hector, and he's been peppered with that utility so far in this round. Now it's all on Wrinkle. Surely they should expect this to be a possibility. Gets himself the first double headshot, and now this play can come in. Native makes it happen, and now it's all down to Kicker. He's been tagged down really low. Native is going to rush in. There's a smoke, but it's not on the bomb properly. Native is jumping in, and he hits the shot. What a round to win if you are Marlian. That is one out of absolutely nowhere. I was about to say Sanji's utility usage was absolutely textbook, but even if it's textbook, it doesn't stop the deagle headshots from hitting you. And how about that? What a way to reach double digits.
Indeed. Marlian, they still got a lot to do, though. The economy of VP was quite strong, and it's a double up setup that they have pulled out. Something that they tend to like to go to, particularly on the CT side of this map. We saw that come out in that Forza game. Pushes up, and what a great find from Owner. Yakendar falls, and that's a big heavy hitter down. Nade does tag Owner a little bit, but the second one not so much. As well, Marlian in good position probably to kind of take advantage of this scenario. Use that opening duel to their advantage.
Yeah, out of nowhere, this puts a small amount of pressure on VP. They're at that man disadvantage. James and Buster have the AWPs available to them. But in a 4 versus 5, Marlian need to be wary that there might be some players coming from VP to make it interesting. And in we go. B bomb site is technically not it's open for business at the moment, but Buster at least goes 1 for 1. Wrinkle is holding the window, though. I do believe that's a little bit of a collateral there, as Wrinkle took a tag to that AWP too. But they realise at this stage you just can't retake B 3 versus 4, despite the fact you have kits. And out of nowhere, we've got an even game. Crazy what one round can do for your half, for your map. Just winning on those deagles out of nowhere, hitting those insane shots. I mean, obviously they're talented players. Like, out of nowhere, they can just make stuff happen, despite the fact they won't be as well known as VP. And now Owner's even pressuring this save out toward long.
Nothing at all, really, to pressure this out. I mean, VP are going to be probably pretty happy about that, unless owner gets aggressive, which it could be. But I mean, either way, you're right. It all it takes is 1 round, 2 rounds, and it is all turned on its head. Marlian tying the game up 11 all. As I mean, with these saved weapons, there should be plenty of cash to buy back in for VP, but they are going to take a timeout, and this is an understandable one, considering the, I mean, just the way in which they lost that prior round, and I mean, they've been struggling a little bit all game. There's been flashes of greatness, but also flashes of some struggles for Virtus.pro, and well, right now they continue.
Yeah, it's such an interesting situation, really, that they find themselves in here. Because, of course, if VP realize that, you know, we can't throw our guns away here, this is a situation where just saving is a more optimum strategy. They'll always take that option, like always. They will never do something that's like suboptimal in that sort of situation. But we're going to reach a stage now, surely, where obviously it builds up Marlian's economy. And VP are just, we're all level, of course. So, you know, and Buster, how on earth he's been taken down to 34 by those 2 grenades? I don't think he'll understand. So already, Marlian, you know, doing more than we expected.
Yeah, poor Buster taking all the shrapnel to the face on that one for sure. Is not an ideal scenario to be in, but Virtus.pro, I mean, they're resilient, so I don't think we need to count them out too far just yet. This setup over towards B is quite strong. Push out is better. Native, nice kill. Kicker falls. Buster looks to get aggressive through the smoke onto the players here. And, finds a great timing, and that's 2. A third for Buster! Nearly connecting a 4th onto that one. Absolutely incredible for Buster. As owner in middle to collect Sanji, leaving James left alone 1v2. Has to do it all on his own, though. And that's the terrifying bit for James. He's got some utility, and he could make this happen.
He ran past the kit that was dropped on the floor toward middle as well. This is looking all the more difficult as time passes. If Marlian don't peek, if they don't give him anything, this should surely be their round. But no, Wrinkle's holding an angle. You can get shot through the door from that angle, my friend. And now it's all down to James in this 1 versus 1. No kit picked up there, and that could be the crucial factor. But there is one on the bomb itself, so he's going to hold it. I didn't realize that was a possibility, but he gets off it. Does he have the defuse? Owner pushes through. I think he's going to be okay. What a great round for James that is. I can't believe that he's won that one, considering the situation, but we have to praise Buster. What an incredible 3K hold that was, and it could have even been 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's Buster and James with heroics, right? Buster, just absolutely incredible to find the timing through the smoke, gets both of those players and finds the third. Like you said, could have even found more. And then, of course, James in the 1v2. James always good for, you know, just a 1-on-2 every single time he's playing, especially on this map, of course. And it's VP who retake the lead. It's actually going to be the timeout for Virtus.pro, because if you look at the cash, I mean, the cash is what's really a problem for them in this round, because, I mean, they are on CT side. That is kind of what happens. Kicker quite low on the economy, so they're kind of trying to figure out how to collect that. As actually, it's going to be the double op investment from Virtus.pro, which, I mean, I think I understand, but at the same time, this is very risky from an economy perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I do understand it in a way. I mean, it's just such a crazy situation, really, I feel like, to find yourself in at the moment, because, you know, if James doesn't win that 1 versus 2, it's just a whole different ball game, I feel like, you know, because they're going to have nothing into the next. And as it stands now, with a nice bit of counter utility toward long, Sanji hasn't really been in this game too much, it feels like, as it stands. Gets an important opener and makes it a 5 versus 4. Obviously, Marlian do have that money built up, but yeah, we're going to look back, I feel like. I'm already feeling that we're going to look back, see James 1 versus 2 and think, oh, turning point.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about that in my mind at the moment. going to have to be some true impressive plays from Marlian to move my mindset out of that, I would say. All that said, this group up here from X Marlian over towards A is going to be maybe effective. There's 2 players waiting, and one of those is James AWP. The other is Sanji, who's on the site. All the mollies, the utility, the flashes all come out. James, the first to face, takes that shot, headshot through the wall, and that shuts down the push for just a moment. The flash to reaggress, and how does he miss that shot? James, it looked like it was on point, but not quite there. There's 3 players pushing left here for Marlian, and Sanji's here.
How on earth do they deal with the situation? I really don't see any way out of this one. Sanji's got himself another frag. They can delay this retake now as well, and there we go. Kicker comes in and cleans out the final 2. And that's just, I mean, a good play really in the end from X Marlian. They chose the right site to go to, but when James in position, that's what can happen. And Kicker and Sanji doing great work as well. And again, I'm going to go back to the James clutch as just of a sort of a round that not only won, is the catalyst to pull VP ahead in this game. It just sort of showed the sort of thing that I was talking about earlier, that just the inexperience of X Marlian, how they played that 1 versus 2, it really showed. Like, you don't need to give James any sort of opening, like the AWP did toward Big Box on B site, and you don't need to. And you could have maybe even faked out the last shot as well if when James started defusing the bomb. So yeah, it's just those tiny little margins, that separate the big boys from Marlian, and they are now paying for it, and they're on pistols at 11-13 down.
Pistols are not an ideal look in this round. Flashes to help out. Op from James still here as well. They're going to make things a bit more difficult. The Molly is pretty good, and Sanji is playing very, very well in this position. Really making life miserable for X Marlian. But Native has actually somehow found a player, and Sanji is waiting for that player on Blue Box. I'm impressed that Sanji found that one, to be honest with you. I mean, that's such a weird angle, and you rarely see anybody up there, but recovers the AWP and throws it back over to James. So it's now 14-11, and VP are looking to be in control.
Yeah, a nice 4K from Sanji. Ups his score to sort of even with the rest of his team now. He was lagging a little bit behind, but that one evens it all up, and he'll be feeling very confident about that one. And now VP will be breathing a sigh of relief. They're not over the line just yet, but it's looking much more comfortable for them as it stands. X Marlian need this round, you feel, if they're to have any chance in this opening map. And yeah, James got the angle now towards short. They're creeping up toward the B tunnels. This grenade could be pretty tasty. It does good damage to Wrinkle, but being on the AWP, it won't matter as much. Now Buster can reposition.
Yeah, and honestly, VP, I mean, they've just been playing this map close all the time. Last 3 times it's been, double digits for both teams. Let's see if they can close it out this time, though. That's big damage on that nade that came through, and everyone just one second away from an engagement. Buster engages first onto Native, but proved to trade, so it's not too shabby for Marlian. And Ikendar could swing into Wrinkle. That would be devastating. And, well, it's not going to be Ikendar, but Kicker, who does just that. But good spot for Ikendar. Finds one, unable to get the spray down and trade that one out. So, and that's so brutal. Wrinkle just barely getting out with his life as well. Sanji and James have got it all to do in this 2v3. And, oh, no, are they just giving this up?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if this sort of situation, like the money's not out of control for the CTs. Like, I don't know.
2v3.
I don't know, man. Like, they have 2 grenades, they have a smoke and 2 flashes. It's enough to go for it. This for me is one of those situations where I say, yeah, I agree. I think you need to go for this, especially with the HPs on Wrinkle, Krivda, and Ona. You've already figured out from James 1 versus 2 that, afterplants maybe aren't exactly on point as they should be. So that's a big factor and a reason for going for it. But at the same time, if you do save here, the buy next round is very comfortable, and you probably still have a spare one to fall back on as well. So it's a shame, you want to see the action, but it is understandable in that sense. And honestly, just as a side note, that round was particularly unique with the way it played out, because having 2 players stacked on toward Car there for a VP, you would think that would work out very nicely indeed. But in the end, the tap on toward Buster, who was playing toward the back plat position, really was the key to getting that round done and dusted, because that is such a hard position to clear out without a molly.
Yeah, and more long aggression is what is on the cards. How are they not aware? Yakindar has gotten away with murder, making a double as Yakindar involved with Sanji, who doesn't have any bullets left in the clip. Has to have some help as the nades go out. Massive damage onto Krivda. 2 players alive, and that's Wrinkles AWP, one of them. But he knows Yakindar is aware, but Krivda's even better. His flash is good. This allows right back into the round these ex-Marlian players.
Wrinkle actually manages to hit one back there, and he spots the cross. Big information that Kicker has crossed over back toward B. So I think ex-Marlian must sort of realize at this stage that they're sort of split up, one each side right now. Kicker is James is at a weird angle towards short, and Wrinkle makes it happen. He's been the star for ex-Marlian in this game, and we're in a situation again where Kicker, I mean, he hasn't got a defuse kit picked up, but now in a 1 versus 2, I feel like this is one you can definitely at least attempt, because you need this round. You're broken. You've taken 4 players away. You can at least get the AWP if he can. Always burning so much of the Molotov. I think he's going to be okay to grab it. Yeah, it's the only way to do it. It's just the only way to do it. I mean, do you remember, Vincent, in the last Dust 2 game we casted with VP, that James had that hero AWP at a crucial stage of the game and peaked for 1 on toward long and 1 on toward mid?
Yes.
Like this is probably what VP are hoping can happen in the upcoming round.
I mean, yeah, I do totally get that. And I mean, that's honestly what's going to have to happen. I mean, if you can look, Buster is at $0 in the bank account. And, not too far off for Kicker or Sanji either. Yakindar and James a bit more cash to play with, but I mean, it's so difficult really to make that save call, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, what a huge victory. Pulling back what was ultimately a 2v5, I think. I mean, it was a trade on the first guy, sure. You know, so call it a 3v5 maybe, but regardless of what you want to make it out to be, it's a great play from Marlian, and in particular Wrinkle, who, I mean, not only got 2 crucial kills, but had the big flashbang that allowed for Krivda to create some space over at long and get the frag onto Yakindar. So everything going swimmingly for ex-Marlian in this game, and I mean, this is far closer than it ever had any business being.
Here we go, though. James going for this solo aggression, which we talk about. It's an absolute standoff right now. I don't think an arm has been spotted. Oh, the tight angles of Dust 2. There we go. A little bit of a pixel. It's all he needs for the information. It would be a huge opener if James can make this happen. Buster's coming in first, but it's a double setup. The USB gets taken down. James gets taken down as well. The threat is gone, and it is guaranteed 14 all if they commit toward B here. Surely they realize this is clear. They will. And goodness me, out of nowhere. I mean, we talked about the turning point for James winning that 1 versus 2. Are we at a point where the turning point for Marlian could be that 2 versus 4 or 2 versus 5 or whatever it was? I mean, that was just an insane recovery, especially from Krivda, those insane shots. And now, goodness gracious me, we've got round 30 guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about the tide turning question that you were talking about. I mean, everybody has that moment. There's always that second chance, right? And Virtus.pro, I mean, we talked about how they've been a bit dicey in their last couple of games, but this is, I mean, this is a different level. This is not a team that VP need to be playing close, much less losing to potentially in their map pick, and even more worrying. And it's not over after this. We're headed to a Mirage, and I mean, remember last time we went to Mirage, it was two games, right? 2 best of 3s in a row that VP have lost to Mirage, 16-4 to Forza in the match we casted, and then yesterday to Entropic in a 16-13 game. I mean, it's just not been ideal.
Yeah, VP have just lost their mojo entirely, and I mean, you would have thought they would have got it back, and the old VP, I feel like, would have taken this game through an easy 16-11 victory. But we're at a stage right now where this is a must-win for VP, because look at their money compared to Marlians. We could be in for. I get the distinct impression this one smells of overtime, but let's see how it goes. Owner pushing in now towards short, looking to do more magic. But yeah, Marlian, I mentioned that they would have bitten your hand off for a 6-all or a 9-6 half. I think at this stage they're absolutely loving this. They're in the ascendancy.
Absolutely are. And I mean, the question has to be asked, where has been the likes of Kickert in this game? Yakindar feeling as if it's been a bit of a slow one as well. But I mean, maybe not. Either way, no matter how you slice it, that made just some good damage onto Owner. Now lacking 20 health is certainly not a bad thing. There's a player in pit, so depending on this timing, Sanji could be the difference maker here.
This is so critical. He needs one. He needs possibly two. Gets himself one. Drops the bomb as well. That is huge information. That it's the bomb carrier to go in first. He can't get the second, but look at the health right now. 3 on Native, on the AWP, and 12 on Wrinkle. He's going to get it swapped over once again, despite the fact Native is lower. Of course, Wrinkle is the AWP player for Marlian, so you can totally understand that. Slight advantage to VP at the moment. Good flash toward long. Only 1-for-1, but not 1-for-1 in terms of Yakindar. He's gotten one. And can fall back to the site as well. The last two players are very low indeed. Only 15 HP between them. Yakindar with a nice angle, but somehow can't even connect one bullet. That is absolutely remarkable. The molly is critical. It should burn out Native, certainly. It does. But with no kit picked up, it's now all down to Wrinkle. Is it planted for long? I'm not entirely sure. He is toward that position. I think it's just about visible from his spot at the moment, and they only have a Molotov for long. They don't have a smoke. Jane peeks from low, and Buster will peek from upper, but Wrinkle jumps up across the angle again. And oh my goodness, how close can you get? Buster wins the 1 versus 1 after being... Oh, that could have gone either way in the end. I can't believe Yakindar couldn't get one more there.
Oh, just a terrifying missed shot from Yakindar. And, I mean... I talked about an underperformance, right? But I'm now looking at the kills and where they're located. I mean, nobody at an oddly low number of frags, I would say. But the thing is, as a team, Virtus.pro just not been firing on all cylinders in the slightest. Now they need to. It's map point here, and on their map pick. They need to close it. They want to close it in regulation. But Marlian in prime position to send us to an overtime as... You're starting out once again with this long control ruse and information been gained.
Yeah, I think that's been telegraphed as well. The little jump there as he got flash, it gives away a sound cue when you land, obviously. And that can be some critical information, really. But they've fallen back off of it somehow. It's long has been completely deserted for DT side. Yakindar's checking for this close angle of Owner. Oh, it's so close, but never mind. Owner spots him first, and that could be a big opening frag. 2 players toward the B side. If they pinch in a B split here, surely it's going to be so difficult for VP to defend against. Kicker up close. Buster gets one toward Owner, coming in from middle. Kicker is going through the Molotov, gets himself one, but turns away. Oh my goodness, what on earth is going on here? Kicker does damage, but not enough. And Wrinkle takes Buster. James needs his frag through the door. At least they do have a smoke for it. Can they surely get onto the site here? It's going to be so close.
You got to go for it this time if you're Virtus.pro. No saving here. Sanji needs to check the corner. Doesn't check it, but gets the frag anyway. And James on the site takes down Wrinkle. That leaves Hikta 1v2 for the overtime position. Tagged down very low, but has a way to isolate the 1v1s. It's James first, and he takes the frag. Virtus.pro take their map pick. And oh boy, was it close. 16-14 fashion. Virtus.pro nearly gave it away.
Goodness gracious me, that was so incredibly close. I was feeling the excitement there toward the end of that last round. Oh, wow. I can't believe it. I mean, VP will be worried that it got that close at the end of the day. I mean, I'm really impressed by the players on Marlian. I think they're going to be heartbroken. They realize they had a real shot in making that one happen. And when you have an afterplant toward B in a 3 versus 2, you're going to look back on that and feel a lot of pain. You're going to look at the mistakes that led to Jane winning that 1 versus 2. But yeah, I mean, in those sort of high pressure situations, things can happen. And in the end, VP squeak it.
That they do. That they do. And boy, I mean, you say you're worried for Virtus.pro. I feel the same. I mean, just to be entirely honest with you, I talked about their Mirage not being ideal last 2 times they played it, both on Wednesday and yesterday. It was not great. It was 16-4 and 16-13 to Forza and Entropic. But here's the thing. Marlian, they're not those 2 teams. Those 2 teams very, very solid on the come up. And I mean no disrespect to these Marlian guys who have put on an absolute show for us. Just smooth right over that. Yeah, they absolutely put on an incredible showing on this Dust 2. But you have to ask the question, is it going to be enough to put them over the edge on Mirage? Last time VP won Mirage, it was against K23, who we saw earlier. And I mean, realistically, you have to expect this to go VP's way, especially since they were able to edge out the victory. I mean, if put it this way, if VP had lost on that on Dust 2, I could have gone with the mental booming type strategy where they just mentally out of it. But I don't know, Travis, before we head to a break, your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are VP are going to be a bit shook up that they got so close, but now it's gone. It can be put out of their memory completely. They can concentrate on Mirage. Marlian will be a bit heartbroken that they got so close, but yet so far. But it gives them a little bit of hope for Mirage, I'd say.
A little bit of hope. Well, that hope is going to have to wait until the end of our break. We're going to be back here with map number 2 of Virtus.pro and Marlian in just a couple of minutes. So don't go anywhere.
There are only a few seconds to close this round. A headshot. Nice. Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna hear your go, go, go. Make them feel your smashing flow. Sweep the round. Rise to fame. Hold the ground.
Very much. They play, you win.
This is just a must. Put me in perspective, I'm the deepest in the cut. Everybody tuning in, but this is just for us now. We know I ain't ballin' yet. Hoes wanna holler, oh no, I don't call them back. Girl, let me see you hold it down, we gon' have a blast. Cause I just wanna know what you gonna do with all of that. Ain't gotta say a word, I know what's up. You can have it all, watch me rip it off. I'll admit it, you got me feeling hella loved. Even when it's going down, know that we gon' live it up. Young shot caller, always been a baller. Know that you the one, I can feel it in my heart, yeah. I won't stop charging, you go and come harder. I can see you and I, way beyond the stars, girl. I can never ever find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right. It feels right.